Imagine you are one of the 5 people aboard the long-haul space freighter Tulpar, carrying goods for the company Pony Express. It will take over a year, but it's your job and all of you have come prepared. And it's already been several months since the beginning of the trip. But something goes very wrong, and the ship crashes into an asteroid. Everyone on board somehow manages to survive, although survive might be too strong a word for the ship's captain Curly, who has suffered full body burns and is now unable to function in any way. A large part of the ship itself was also damaged. The entire sleeping quarters, utility, storage, and parts of the lounge were all destroyed. But the most terrifying discovery comes soon after. The ship can't fly you home anymore. You are now indefinitely stuck in space, unable to repair the ship, unable to help your captain, which means the days tick down as your crew's collective resources and sanity keep declining. This is Mouthwashing. Mouthwashing is a surreal, dark, and depressing little game where the existential horror of being indefinitely stuck in space is only the starting point of the nightmare about to start, and for some on board, it started well before. Curly was a well-liked captain among the other crew members, but in his current condition, he can only watch as the situation keeps deteriorating, unable to do anything about it while he keeps wheezing and groaning in never-ending pain. It's a pretty unique game. Not really because of the gameplay though, it is mostly a walking simulator. There's some stealth sections as well, which are the standards indie horror fare. What makes it special is the presentation of it all, the visual design, sound design, and the unhinged storytelling. And I mean that in the best way possible. Even the type of story being told is atypical of games. A part of what makes the narrative engaging is a continuous stream of reviews. So, to keep it enjoyable, I am going to say as little as possible about the specifics of the plot and talk more about what makes the storytelling so cool. The story itself is told in a non-linear manner, moving freely in the timeline from before the crash to months after it. Each chapter ends with a jarring transition, yanking you out from one reality to the next, as if after each event, reality itself comes crashing down. And the way these chapters work is pretty unconventional. Often a chapter alludes to an event without showing it and transitions before spelling it out for you, or just harshly cuts to another timeline. Even in a single chapter, it can move around from the nightmare they are living through in reality and entering these surreal hellscapes mirroring the current mental condition. As the game progresses, the situation goes from bad to worse, and these nightmarish sequences grow more and more frequent, now melting reality and dreams together. The dialogue in this game is movie-like in some ways, which makes sense considering the movie-like length of the game. The dialogue is tightly written, every single line from every single character is written with purpose. An uncomfortable tension keeps building and building with every single word that is said. The dialogue often doesn't explicitly describe everything, but the implications that remain unsaid are even more horrifying. You can feel there will soon come a boiling point where this spills over, while you sit there dreading the moment where someone breaks. The ship already had a rough looking interior, metal grates covering every inch of the ship's corridors and exposed pipes on the wall. It's clear the ship just had the bare minimum needed to be functional. This is not helped by the fact that the fires have caused the ship's entire living space to become claustrophobic, as hardened foam now blocks large parts of the ship, and the only new parts of the ship accessible to the crew are an eerie room of endless rows of cargo. It all looks exceptionally grungy. The simulated day-night cycle of the ship has turned into an eternal sunset after the crash. the orange-red glow of which seems to signal the impending end of this journey. I have already talked about Curly the captain. Let's introduce the rest of the crew. Swansea, an experienced middle-aged technician who has grown increasingly rough and assholeless in the way he speaks. Daisuke, an intern working under Swansea who has a very upbeat and happy personality, the youngest one on the crew and just goes along with what he is being told. He keeps in high spirits despite the situation. Anya the nurse, she is extremely reserved and meek. It's clear that she is scared and unsettled trying to take care of a bedridden Curly. And finally Jimmy, the one we play as for most of the game. He was the co-pilot and now in Curly's absence the current captain of the ship. He is someone who keeps talking about fixing the situation, taking responsibility for the crew, but generally doesn't know what to do. There are small details like having Swansea's bed way off to the side cause he snores, or the Game Boys and magazines near Daisuke's bed, which all makes the crew feel real. The characters and the way they deal with or are unable to deal with this situation forms the crux of the story. You can tell there's more to these characters and there was far more going on before the crash than it seems at first glance, which adds an extra layer of stress to the conversations. The visuals and sound design does a great job of enhancing each scene. The visual design can be very striking at times in this game, like Swansea angrily taking an axe and smashing it into the lounge display, shattering the illusion that this new normal is something that will stay as is. In one of the developer diaries, the devs mention how the sound effect and audio design was the last thing done, made to fit the scene but open to experimentation. Something seemingly as minor as the footstep sound, which is the main thing heard in parts of the game over the ambient sound, has a lot of effort put into it. It's a layered sound with multiple variations and the sounds of fabric, jacket rustling, or shoelaces laid on top. The music can range from stomach churning and anxiety inducing to a hauntingly beautiful track contrasting the tone and reality of the situation, like an eulogy for the crew who have no hope left. Often, walking inside the ship, I would accidentally trigger the horse mascot of Pony Express, Polly.
Polly says, I love working on Tulpar. It means I have a lot of dreams.
Its jingle seemingly mocking the crew as they know the company itself will make no effort for their rescue. The sounds on the ship makes the whole thing come together for me, complementing and introducing friction with the visuals and narrative in a perfect way. I won't spoil the plot of the game for anyone watching this review. Go play this game. The devs over at Wrong Organ have crafted something special here. Mouthwashing is a sharply written, well directed narrative experience that is unlike anything I have played before. I cannot recommend this game enough. This is the type of game I am always looking for in the indie space, and I cannot wait for whatever these devs come up with next.